Hi, sophomores. So I just wanted to send a quick video of what we did today with our paper. So today we worked on our introduction. So a lot of the body paragraphs are a lot like what we've been working on with just the tika. So right now I'm going to show you how we're working on our introduction. And the reason being is because in the next couple of days, especially those in class, they've been working on this the whole time. I'm asking for their introduction and first point by tomorrow at the end of class. Those of you that are in quarantine, I can get those next week. But the reason why I wanted this was because I want to look over your introduction and first point just to see how it is going and mark it up and then give it back to you. That way, you know exactly what it is that I'm looking for and to see what it is that you need to probably fix for the rest of your paper. So, I'm just going to show you the example that I gave. And again, guys, just remember go to classwork, go to Google. Sorry, Google Classroom, everything is right there for you. I did put an example of Tika and an example of an introduction. So if you do click on the rough draft, if you take a look here, everything's set up the way that we have been teaching papers. So you'll start with your attention getter, then you'll start with your necessary information, and then you'll end with your thesis. As you guys can see, I'm so sorry. Going down the wrong tube. As you can see, there's a little bit more on the necessary information than what we've done in the past, and I'll explain why that is here in just a little bit. So what I'm going to do next is actually show you the example and walk you through what it is that we're looking for in your introduction. So if you take a look, intro example, I'm going to walk you right through it. I forgot to change the labels on these. So as you're reading through it, just know that it's the exact same thing of what is actually on your rough draft as well. So if we take a look, your attention getter, your tag sentence, the worst feeling someone can have is the feeling of being completely alone. It's a universal statement. It's something that can be applied to. It can grab people's attention because there might be people that don't agree with it. So, whenever you do your attention getter, it has to be something very broad. It could be a statistic, it could be a fact, it can be a quote from another person. If you are going to use a quote from another person, please make sure that you cite who said it and a very small description of who they are. So, whether they are an American poet, a Brazilian boxer, whatever, please make sure that you do say that. So, Emily Dickinson, an American poet, once said, and that's how you want to use your attention getter. So, the one that I say is the worst feeling someone can have is the feeling of being completely alone. Then the next thing, when it says your necessary information, it says relate your hook, your attention getter, to your essay. Now, what I mean by that is that you don't share quite yet what it is that your essay is going to be about, but you want there to be some connection. In your necessary information, you don't want to give it all away just yet. So, what you can do is go a little bit more into a little more in depth or give a little bit more of what your attention getter is all about. So for me, I just went into that whole idea of loneliness, whether it is the loss of a family member or not feeling accepted among friends, loneliness is a universal feeling. True statement. Then I go into just a little bit more. There are many different types of loneliness, yet each person handles and deals with it in their own unique way. This right here is relating right down here to my thesis. So now I'm really starting to become more and more specific. On your rough draft sheet, it's going to say introduce, novel, author, major background. What do I mean by that? So, In of Mice and Men, there's your title. John Steinbeck, there's your author, takes the situation that most migrant farmers were in during the Great Depression era and highlights the lack of companionship in their lives. So, what I'm asking for major background is tell me a little bit of the 1930s. How were migrant workers um, treated? How were women treated in the 1930s? What was the Great Depression like? So just a very small blurb of the setting. That's what I'm talking about when I ask for a major background. Then I ask for you guys to give me a sentence of what are your three topics about. So right here, then I say Steinbeck shows how loneliness affects characters Lenny, Candy, and Crooks in different ways depending on their personality traits. So I put my three topics into one. I would like you guys to try the same thing. If you're having problems with it, let me know. And then I end with my thesis. Each character in the novel has a unique form of loneliness that helps develop their identity. So think of your introduction as being something that's super broad when you first start out, and then it becomes very, 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 very specific when you get to your thesis. Again, the major thing is to not give your essay away until closer to the very end, and not to mention any of the characters or the novel itself right in the beginning of the necessary information. The other thing I would strongly suggest is try not to use questions as an attention getter. If you are going to use a question, make it into a statement. So, for an example, someone might say, "What would you do if you were lonely all the time?" It's a good idea. Change it into a statement. So then go into there are many different ways that a person can react to being lonely all the time. So you see, take that question, make it into a statement. If you're still having a hard time with it, let me know. Email me and I'll help you with whatever that you need help with. I'm going to make another video here in just a little bit describing the Tika Tika, and then later on, I will also make a video on the conclusion paragraph. Again, email me if you have any questions, and good luck.